Her hand was still red when they cuffed her bright crimson against the beige cardigan she always wore to HOA meetings. That same hand had once waved bylaws in my face, had signed every bogus violation. Now it was stained by the dye I'd built into my trap and by her own greed. Watching her led away, I couldn't help but think. Justice sometimes snaps back louder than you plan. My name's Nathan Tanner, 58 years old. 20 years in the service taught me to enjoy quiet routines. Morning coffee, trimming the hedges, feeding the birds. My wife, Heather, and I moved to Treehart County because it felt like peace finally had a zip code. A small house, a yard for the dog neighbors who waved from a distance. For a while, life was as steady as the ticking of the mailbox flag outside our window, until the mail started feeling wrong. One morning, a letter from the VA came half torn open, just enough to peek inside. The next day, the power bill flap wasn't sealed right, some greasy fingerprint on the edge. By Thursday, Heather's package showed up with the tape sliced clean and replaced with the cheap, shiny kind you buy at a dollar store. She turned it over in her hands, calm but tight-voiced. "This isn't Amazon's tape, Nate." I didn't need to answer. We both knew someone had been digging where they didn't belong. Friday confirmed it. Mike, our mailman, a young Marine vet, handed me the mail instead of leaving it in the box. He looked nervous, glanced toward the house 2 doors down. "Mr. Tanner, I probably shouldn't tell you this, but Karen Jensen's been giving me grief. Says she can inspect mailboxes. Claims it's in a new HOA bylaw." He handed me a folded sheet of paper. "Architectural Committee reserves the right to inspect mailboxes for community standards." I stared at it. "That's a federal mailbox, Mike. She can't touch it." He nodded, jaw tight. "Told her the same thing. She said she's got a master key and she'll only look visually," she said. "Yeah," I muttered with her sticky fingers. Karen Jensen. Every neighborhood has one. Ours came wrapped in pastel sweaters and fake smiles. Officially, her husband Fred was the HOA president. Unofficially, Karen ran the show every rule, every fine, every shade of acceptable beige. She didn't just want control, she wanted obedience. And apparently she wanted our mail. That night, Heather and I sat at the dinner table silent for a while, then she closed her laptop, eyes steady. "We can't yell this away. We document." She opened a new spreadsheet, titled it Project Honeypot. I laughed, suggested Project Mailrat. She ignored me, she usually does when she's right. Her plan was simple evidence. My job was the hardware. In the garage, I built what I later called the red-handed reporter. A mousetrap, with the teeth filed down harmless but loud. Under the spring bar, I mounted a small vial of red dye mixed with UV paint and glued a tiny GPS tracker underneath. Not to hurt, just to mark. A bright, undeniable scarlet tag that screamed, "Caught." Heather hid cameras everywhere, one in a birdhouse facing the street, another disguised as a lawn sprinkler, a third peeking through our front door's peephole, all synced to the cloud. "No DVR," she said. "She'll try to steal the evidence. Let her chase ghosts." The morning we deployed the trap, I acted casual mail in hand, morning robe, coffee mug. I slipped the contraption deep inside the box, tied a thin line from the trigger to a junk mail catalog in front. All she had to do was move it. I whispered into my phone, device armed. Heather's voice crackled back calm and sharp. "Cameras rolling. Wait for the queen to bite." We didn't wait long. Karen came marching down the street like she owned the pavement, pink polo. White pants, gold ring glinting. She looked both ways opened, my mailbox reached in, snap. The sound echoed down the street. She screamed a high, offended shriek and yanked her hand out dripping in thick red dye. It splattered across her perfect pants. Neighbors peeked from porches, phones lifted. Her husband, Fred, came running, looking lost. "Karen." "What happened?" "Shut up, Fred," she hissed, clutching her stained hand and storming home while everyone watched. I sat at the kitchen table, coffee in hand, watching it live on Heather's tablet. That, I said, was satisfying. But satisfaction has a short shelf life. By afternoon, an email arrived. Official notice of violation. Apparently, our lawn grass exceeded 4 inches. Never mind, I'd mowed 2 days earlier. The next day, a paper notice taped to our door accused us of leaving trash bins out too long. Then came warnings about a wind chime, an oil spot, even unapproved bird feeders. She was retaliating paper by paper, building her case. A few nights later, around midnight, I heard the trash cans clatter. I looked out and saw Doug Karen's muscle from the HOA meetings digging through our garbage with a flashlight. I filmed him right from my phone. Watching that brute rummage through my personal trash like a raccoon made my skin crawl. Heather was furious. She's escalating Nate. This isn't petty anymore. The next morning, one of our cameras went dark lens smeared with Vaseline. Another had its wire cut clean. Karen was trying to blind us. For the first time in a long time, I felt tired. Like maybe I'd become what she accused us of troublemakers. Maybe we went too far, I muttered. Maybe I should have just let it go. Heather didn't answer right away. She just kept typing in that spreadsheet neat columns of evidence. "You taught me something years ago," she finally said. "Power doesn't respect arguments, it respects proof." Then she looked up. "We're almost there. Don't quit now." She was right. The quiet that followed wasn't peace, it was camouflage. 3 nights later, it hit. Around 2 a.m., the power went out clean, deliberate. Heather whispered breakers outside. Then came the faint scrape of glass. I opened the live feed on my phone. Night vision green, a big man climbing through our kitchen window. Doug. Ski mask, flashlight, nervous hands. He went straight to the TV console and grabbed what he thought was our DVR. He didn't know it was a decoy. We watched him run out clutching an empty box as our real footage streamed safely to the cloud. That was it, the line crossed. This wasn't harassment anymore, it was a break-in. The next morning I called the United States Postal Inspection Service. "Sir, I told the agent I need to report systematic mail theft retaliation and now burglary." I walked him through everything, the torn envelopes, the trap, the footage. When I mentioned the red-handed reporter, he chuckled once. "Creative, Mr. Tanner. Very creative." Then his tone hardened. "Sit tight. We'll use the video when it counts." For the first time in weeks, I exhaled. We weren't alone anymore. Inspector Miller came the next day, tall, calm, sharp-eyed. We showed him everything. Heather had organized a digital binder, like a prosecutor, photos of tampered mail, video of the trap, the GPS map showing the tracker's path straight from our mailbox to Karen's house, then to the HOA office. He watched the clips, nodding slowly. She escalated from tampering to burglary. That's not HOA business anymore, that's federal. We even had statements from neighbors, the stolen birthday card from Mrs. Gable, the missing EBT card from the Davies family. When he read that part, his jaw tightened. That he said gets a judge's attention. He promised to handle it, but asked one favor. "Let the HOA meeting proceed next week. We'll be there." The night of the meeting, the clubhouse was packed. Usually it's half-empty retirees arguing about lawn heights. Not this time. Everyone knew something was brewing. Fred stood up front, sweating through his sport coat. Karen sat beside him, hand-wrapped in a neat little bandage, trying to look victimized. The first item, Fred stammered, concerns the recent acts of vandalism. Karen cut him off. "We're talking about the Tanners. They built a dangerous device that assaulted me." I stood up steady. "You're right, Karen. Let's talk about the facts." Heather dimmed the lights. The projector hummed. The first video, Karen opening our mailbox, slow motion. The snap, the red spray across her hand. The room gasped. Whispers spread like wind. Phones came up recording. Her face drained of color. Next clip, Doug rifling through our trash under the floodlight. Then the big one, the break-in night vision green, him stealing the fake DVR. The crowd erupted. "Is that Doug? That's Karen's guy." Fred pounded his gavel voice, cracking. "Order! Order!" No one listened. Karen shot up shaking. "This is illegal. You can't." Then the calm voice from the back. "Actually, Mrs. Jensen, we can." Inspector Miller stepped forward, badge in hand. "Karen Jensen, you're under arrest for mail theft, obstruction of correspondence, and conspiracy. Doug Schmids, burglary, and trespassing. The room fell silent except for the click of handcuffs. Karen glared at me as they let her out, the bandage on her wrist brushing against the red stain that never quite washed off. I met her eyes, no smile, no gloat, just the quiet weight of proof doing what power never could. The fallout was swift. Doug confessed everything. Karen pled guilty. Her cousin's shady company folded under a fraud probe. Fred resigned before the ink on the warrant dried. And a month later, the HOA dissolved, entirely voted out by the same neighbors she'd ruled over for years. Treehart County changed after that. The lawns grew a little taller, the mailboxes stayed closed, and people actually waved without fear. I still check the mail every morning, same time, same walk, but now, when Mike rolls up in his white truck, he grins. Morning soldier. And every time I see that red-stained trap on my garage shelf, I remember one thing: proof will always hit harder than power.